it would have been exactly 24. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said exactly. It's about 24 hours since I last went live. I am going live in a moment where there will highly likely be an interruption. I know I try to give a heads up about this. I'm sure everybody knows by now that I'm a mother, and I have to cater to my child before anything, while also trying to balance the messages that I'm trying to say. So chances are, just as a quick throw in, he is asleep right now at a time where he isn't usually asleep. So there's no telling the mood he'll be in when he wakes up. I don't know how long I'll be able to avail myself for this moment. But as I shared via Twitter, I felt eager to be present for this. I didn't think that I would have been able to be present for this. And I was actually processing quite a bit of energy today. So I'm kind of, I'm new to this vibe as well. Like I'm showing up fresh with you. I'm processing everything with you fresh. I did say via Twitter that I would come with a little bit of research, and I did. But usually these things take a life of their own through me. So, hi. I did, though, have a very specific intention to intro in this live with some word from Charles Bukowski's poem, The Laughing Heart. I put a sentence from his poem in this live stream and in the one that I did last night. The specific sentence, you'll find it. It's called The Laughing Heart. It's really amazing. I have it printed and placed on my altar. It's one of my favorites. But the line that I have in the description says, "The gods wait to delight in you." And it stands out for me due to the energy that is in the air right now regarding the planetary transits that we are facing in the week that follows this live reading. We are looking at a Jupiter, as mentioned in last night's live stream. We are facing a Jupiter moving into tropical Cancer and a full moon in tropical Sagittarius. And according to the video that I posted from a channel called, I think, The Cosmic Guidance, I will post the video that I watched. And I'll also follow that up with a video from Pam. I've yet to engage on her analysis about it, but I love Pam. She's my fave. And just as a interesting fact, she's a Scorpio rising. I'm a Scorpio moon. So obviously the synastry is, it's no wonder I'm so obsessed with her. But anyway, just by the way, Pam's videos are a lot longer, more detailed in case you're interested. But the Cosmic Guidance, she mentioned that this full moon you'll be able to reference from, to understand what's happening. You'll be able to reference from, she said, particularly the 12th of December, 2023. That's the time she said you should look back to. When I looked back to around that time, I was processing the influx of a feeling of joy that I'm not used to. And I actually pulled cards for myself a few hours ago, trying to understand what it is that I'm missing, what might be in my blind spot, how I can engage, because I was feeling, like I said, I've been processing a lot and I was feeling a little bit low. And I wanted to find out how I can engage with the feelings of lowness to make them useful. I'm not I'm more famous for ruminating than I am for transmuting and working with low frequencies. So when I pulled those cards, they spoke of the exact same thing that I was writing about in December 2023, where I was, and it speaks to the energy that I'm feeling into that I want to talk about in this live stream, and that I put in the title, Welcoming Joy. So the energy that is happening right now in general and something that I actually made a video about. I'm not sure when I made this video, but I was speaking to something that I think we are all understanding about what's happening in life right now. Dr. David Clemens has spoken on it. Astrologers Pam has spoken about it. Many other astrologers are talking about it. We are truly moving into a more heart-centered way of living. There are infinite wells, but I think even that level of infinity may be too far out for us to understand. So I'm just going to keep it small and say there are levels of joy and processing abundance that are unbeknownst to you right now, but that are truly stored and sitting there waiting, as the gods are, waiting to be unlocked, waiting for your delight and your enjoyment. But what I think is going to come into our lenses of understanding is that we didn't have to wait. We don't have to wait so long to be happy. I think a lot of us are doing too much of this business of, and we all know about it, but, and this is, it's like there's a gap between us and our ability to actually enjoy ourselves. That gap, I've spoken on this before, is going to get smaller, thankfully, this week. But it's going to get smaller in a way that you have to let it happen, basically. And it seems like a lot of us are not letting it happen because we expect this happening to happen with some actual manifestation, with something actually coming in to our awareness, with that new love that we're expecting to come in, with the job that we're waiting for, the bracket of income that we are hoping is going to bring us a certain level of happiness. But the point has always been, the lesson, especially for this year, considering that it's such a chaotic year of necessary stillness, observation, and lesson application. It's like we're in school. But basically, the lesson has always been that we didn't have to do too much to access this joy that is there, that is ours, that is us at this point. We don't have to do too much, but we have been. And that's actually a card that I pulled for myself. I'll read a little bit about it. It was the 9 of Cups in reverse. And the sentence was, you may be trying too hard. Perhaps you should ease up and let some genuine feelings out, right? Which I think is a really good friend to the Jupiter tropical Cancer transit. I mentioned this in last week's reading that and this is I guess its own energy that I'm tapping into right now. Part of your ability to feel joy will have to be matched with your necessity to process your sorrow and cry it out and let it out, release it. Essentially, there's a lot of ways that we can feel and be happy and be in our conscious abundance. But there are so many blockages because we keep expecting certain things to happen, or we expect our performance of happiness to match with some other physical, actual thing happening. We can just be happy right now, basically. We can just be joyful right now. And a thing easier said than done. I always say this. I'm still human. When I relay all of these channelings and downloads, none of that is to say that I'm actually winning at, like, I'm in the battlefield. We're all in the battlefield together. So, I mean, it's a really strange sensation actually presenting these downloads and informations, and while knowing that right after this, I'm probably going to go right back to being weird, emotionally unstable, depressed. I may even fall out on my rituals. I'm going to sit and tell you, oh, spiritual rituals are important. And then I'm going to go off this live and I'm not going to do my rituals. And I'm probably just going to bum out and scroll. Like, you know, just to disclose that. Because, yeah, I just feel like it's necessary for people to understand this about all the people who are doing this kind of work. As healers and intuitives, tarot readers, we're people, right? With our own egos and shit, our own crazy experiences. So discernment is really important. But anyway, let me land again. Another interesting thing that I suppose happened before this reading was that I was doing my thing. And even after picking this deck up, I've picked it up now. And the card that I was going to announce, fell out on its own, has left behind. So the energy of the full moon in Sag is extremely prominent. We're going to pull cards to understand why, but it is very important to know that this full moon is important. I have my Jupiter in Sag and I have my Mars in Sag. So this full moon is not going to be a joke for me. I generally don't, full moons are normally very extreme experiences for me. And I'm the type of person who would have pitched the idea of applying for leave. If I were a work person, I'd definitely apply for leave for a full moon because they're very serious. I'm a moon child. My womb moves with the cycles of the moon, as I'm sure most of ours do. So, yeah, but something about this particular full moon I'm feeling right now, I mean, obviously with the energy of Sagittarius, is going to be extremely expansive for the heart. Like I said, in a way that may be surprising, maybe a little bit unsettling, a little bit uncomfortable, extremely new in terms of the things that you feel and process. It feels like it's going to be a lot of so I'm feeling a greater expansion in the inner world, but I do feel that there is going to be some external world responses to that inner expansion, which is very exciting. I think we can all look forward to that. I'm going to just leave the card actually, since it's insisted on falling out on its own, and since the moon itself is such a prominent energy. It's really speaking, really insisting. And I think honestly that we can look forward to this week in general. These past few weeks have been truly heavy, really, really difficult processings. There are obviously the difficulties themselves don't stop, but I do think that it feels like we've been in the dark, in the shadows for a really long time. Illumination is to come. I do intend on the energies that come out of this reading to be an extension of what came out from last night's reading. I will link it in the description. And just to extend a bit on last night's reading, the tower did fall out. I believe both the moon and the tower point towards this energy of illumination, of where your eyes were covered, now you can see. Now there's a whole lot more clarity, but it doesn't feel like it will be clarity of the mind. It will more be clarity of the heart. But in the cosmic guidance video, she did mention that there is going to be some kind of mind-heart coherence. So it's not just cancel the mind out altogether, but your heart is taking center stage right now. So yeah, if you're someone who's not used to feeling, get used to it. Get used to it, babe, because it's happening. And it's likely going to happen beyond your control, beyond your awareness. I guess as a natural follow to that sentence, beware of projections. Beware of, because it feels like there's going to be a lot of subconscious uncovering so that there is greater potential for people to project and be weird. But it doesn't feel like it'll be particularly hostile. It feels like it'll mostly be from a place of compassion, nurture, or needing that. I did read a bit on this energy last night to say that there may be violence directed, but I think I'm tapping into a different. It's like it's a tree. I'm tapping into a different like branch of the energy. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that in last night's reading and allow tonight's reading to take on an energy of its own. So we have the moon. We have the sentence, the prompt that the gods are waiting to delight in you. Your angels, your ancestors, your God, your soul, your higher self, the spiritual realm that holds your joy and the knowing that you have the right to be joyful, they're all just waiting for you to accept the invitation to be happy and to not have to wait for whatever it is that you want to come in order for you to be happy. Just be happy. And it's much greater than the prompt of behaving as if you want the thing so that you can get the thing. There's no end goal here. It's not about, it's just, yeah, there's no end goal. It's simply about being happy because you deserve to be happy. You have a right to be happy. It was your birthright as you came into this reality to behave abundantly. I think it's really important for you to tap into David Clement's conversations that he has with Pam. There's a recent one that's incredible and speaks on this kind of energy, but every single one that he's had on Pam's channel has been incredibly uplifting and has helped me to find that frequency of conscious abundance and joy without anything actually coming into fruition. I do think that while this invitation is paired with this invitation will be the test and the negging of, but it's like that whole idea of how the past having a life of its own, your misery having a life of its own, and clinging onto you so that you can stay with it and keep it company. So yeah, while there will be an invitation for you to be in your joy, be happy, behave as if happy, be consciously abundant, there will be this matching negging that of your misery that will try to keep you back and try to claim you, which again is part of the energy that I read from last night. That controlling inner voice that will try to convince you that you're not deserving of being happy unless things have already happened for you. That you look silly for behaving so joyfully if you have nothing to be happy about. Silly prompts like that. Limitations like that. They're really useless. And like I said, I touched on that energy before, so I don't have to get too into it. I feel called to mention a tweet that I saw. I've forgotten his name. His name is Keith. I've forgotten his username, but I mean, I follow him on Twitter. I retweet him a bunch of times. You'll find a Keith somewhere in my retweets. An incredible white man. He spoke on something that I think is relevant. He said, what you should be doing right now is slowly leaning into your joy by picking small habits, little things that you know will make you happy. So eat a meal that will make you happy, drink a warm cup of something that you know will lift your mood. You could follow your body's prompts. Follow your body's tiniest prompts to like rest when necessary. I do recommend exercising, getting the heart pumping. That's fun, but specifically core exercises. I think there's something very important. There's important work being called via the sacral. I've been having a lot of fun with that. Yoga for the core is wonderful too. Pilates, that kind of stuff really reminds you of your relationship with your body and how you and your body are friends. That's another thing that I saw via social media today that I feel called to mention now. It's to really make friends with your body, but make friends with your core in particular. Because, yeah, this part from your heart to around your womb, just below your belly button, that part of our bodies, I think, is really activating right now in a really sweet way, a really tender way, where like a hug. And that's all I've got, actually. That is all I have. Tending to the heart is pretty important as well. Cosmic Guidance also recommended some throat work, throat chakra work. I have also I've posted this via Twitter, but I'll share it again in the description. I've been doing meditations with these frequencies. There's one that has to do with the sacral and I think the throat and the womb. And then the other has to do with the throat, the heart, and the crown. So it goes here and here. But anyway, I'll post in the description. Meditations with those is very helpful for me, surprisingly so. I didn't think that sound therapy mattered that much, but it actually does. It's incredibly helpful, and I highly recommend. We have to fight back. We have to keep up with the pressure that we are being met with. It's going to get easier. It definitely will. I know of that line where it's like, life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. But you get stronger, and your getting stronger makes it easier. You know what I mean? So it does get easier. And you can at least hold faith in that. It will get easier. It does work. All of these spiritual rituals and personal works that we do, that we've been doing for years now, that we may or may not have been under the impression doesn't work. It works. It absolutely does. It's just a matter of you needing to keep going and not give up. So I'm going to allow the moon card to be the leader of this evening's reading. Bearing in mind that we are also, if there were a Jupiter card, I'd place it here too. So we're looking at the energy of this week. Just with regards to the dates, the Jupiter transit's happening on the 9th and the full moon is happening on the 11th. They're very close together. Cosmic Guidance also spoke of how last time there was an elves. Higher self-work is also really important, but I think that that's a very natural sorry, I've lost signal. I think that the highest self-work is a very natural result of doing heart space work and sacral work, of doing body work and connecting to the body. But it is very important, and David Clements has mentioned this in previous conversations with Pam. It is very important that you at least invite the higher self in. The higher self has the same rules as those ghosts that have polite manners, the same rule as God in general. They will stand by your door. They're right there, but they will not cross the threshold, i.e. your free will. They will not break that boundary. So you have to invite your higher self in. And because your higher self is essentially you, working through you a lot of the time, it's going to be very easy and very quick. You don't have to do too much. It's very important. Do not do too much. The minute you feel like you are cranking or overspending or whatever, dial it down. Ease up. Okay, I'm going to pull some cards now as a follow-up for the moon energy. I highly recommend as well turmeric tea, golden latte, I think it's called. Or literally just hot water and turmeric. It tastes disgusting, but I don't know. As a sensitive, I definitely feel the effects. Just the taste of the turmeric. It is gross, but the taste of it does affect me in a good way. Okay. Are you serious? Okay, we have the Queen of Rods and Temperance, which are the same cards, the exact same cards that fell out last night. Okay. Let me sit with this some more, because I think maybe these cards falling out mean that these energies are the ones that didn't get enough spotlight in the previous reading that I did. So, the Temperance was the closing card of last night. The Queen of Rods fell out somewhere in the beginning. Sitting with the Queen of Rods energy now. I'm not going to read the interpretation of it. I'm just going to try just expand on this energy right now. The Page of Rods, if you've been keeping up with my previous readings, the Page of Rods has been something that's been falling out very, very often. And that was when we were in the absolute pits of the underworld, when most things were pretty depressing. And it felt this underworld exploration felt really out of our control. That's the victim mode. I believe it's also the whole feeling like you need help and struggling to ask for it. The Queen is a lot more empowered in her underworld exploration. She is the queen, so she's pretty much in control of it. She can travel between those worlds as she pleases. She does still have her sorrows and her sadness, but there's something a lot more empowered about her. It mentions in the interpretation that these things that she adorns herself with, the snake, the bralette, all very hot, but also can be seen as a little bit restrictive, which I think links to the limitations that I was talking about in the beginning of this reading, that we kind of need to unclick and free ourselves from. This card, the Moon, also, as I've said, well, I don't know if I've said this in the reading, but it speaks of freeing yourself from the collective consciousness, from the collective shadow consciousness. So I think with the Queen of Rods falling out, it's like, okay, I'm feeling into a very specific frequency of really deep and dark depression. And it's a kind of depression that may be very new to you, something that it's maybe like, this is the saddest you've ever been. When I feel this way, the words that I'm about to say are the last things I want to hear. But it is true that you can just wait it out. You're not alone in your feelings of depression and sadness and confusion. You're not alone in this void. You're not alone in this underworld exploration. Your angels are extremely aware of the things that you are feeling, but there are other things happening at play here. There's work being done on your emotional body, essentially. You can meet this work halfway by working with your body, by doing the womb massages that I've suggested before, by doing yoga. If this resonates, you could be the exercisey type. But I think that because of how heavy this underworld exploration is, it's very murky and foggy. There's smoke. There's crazy stuff happening. It may be too aggressive of a choice for you to decide to exercise. You may be pushing past or pushing over your body's wisdom and limits. The point isn't to push yourself into this hard work, physical labor, so that you're completely distracted and you're unable to hear, and you forget about the sadness and the weight that you're processing. The point is to move, or to get your body moving, the flow of this underworld, moving with the sadness, but at a pace that's manageable, so that you're aware of what you're processing. You can't forget. You can't ignore. You can't push down or suppress. You have to move with it. That's why I recommend slow things. Like if you really want to push your body and sweat, I highly recommend some Pilates or bar, all available on YouTube. I will link some exercises. I love Heather Robertson. Go at your own pace. She is really strong and you don't have to compare yourself to her. But there are also other exercises available via the internet. You can find what suits you. Is really important right now. I also think that like womb massages and breast massages, like in the same way you massage your womb, massage and squeeze your breasts as well. It's really fascinating how little we as human beings, I was going to say as women, but as everyone, how little we know about the power of touch and interacting with your body in that way. It's very much like literally pushing buttons. Sometimes when I feel really overwhelmed in my heart space, I start to pump it or like beat it like I'm a gorilla, which is it's been so helpful for me. And I find it interesting that we're not taught to that naturally, that it's not something that like people suggest when processing grief, for example. Like it's extremely helpful to do this. Literally that action though. So if that's something that you need to do, get into that. Get into massaging yourself, massaging your hands and your feet, the back of your thighs. I'm not sure why that's important though, but it helps me. I don't know why though, but yeah, it feels good to do. And your neck, this part of your neck, and this part of your arm. I don't know if there's a name for that, but it feels incredible for me to do it on both sides. I'm thinking of other parts of the body now. Yeah, the torso is very important to work with. But I also think that this can be led very intuitively by you. Sit with yourself and give yourself a moment to be sensual with yourself in that way, but in a very loving, tender, compassionate way, knowing that this is something you need in order to process. We have a lot of processing, a lot of inner world processing to do. I thought I wasn't going to, but now I feel called to touch just really quickly on the energy of the Queen of Rods. I'm going to read the sentences that jump out. Dedication to a spiritual way of life and a deep engagement with the unconscious mythic realms. Yeah. Possibly some hidden sorrow, which I think can be processed via the suggestions that I gave. And the key words I'm seeing here are highly intuitive, perceptive, and creative. That creative word is an extension of last night's reading, which suggested doing some creative work. So I haven't. I was going to say, if you haven't, I haven't. Get into that random channeling, writing, drawing. Lots of things in other realms waiting to come out through you. And it will make you happier once you do it. You will feel a sense of relief. Even if while you're doing it, it makes no sense. Trust that it's necessary and it's helpful. Just trust in allowing the process of it to take the lead. Stop trying to make so much logical sense out of things right now. If you're someone who relies a lot on logic, I definitely do. That is a lot of cards. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to keep the Hermit and put everything else back. I don't really like when all cards fall out like that. It kind of overwhelms me personally. So I trust that if those cards that fell out are important, they're going to fall out again. But the Hermit was the one card that it was the only card that fell out facing, and it fell out upright. This supports the energy that fell out here, the other cards that fell out here. Lots of soul work, lots of subconscious things coming out this week that are calling for our attention. I'm not the greatest fan of subconscious work. I don't like how uncomfortable it feels. I don't like how you can literally feel that it's crawling out of something. Like you can feel that these feelings and possibly dreams as well. I've had some dreams of my own that have been so unsettling that I haven't even been able to utter them. I haven't been able to utter the experience of them to anyone else. Yeah, lots of subconscious work, grimy, like icky, sticky stuff that's going to be very uncomfortable to process naturally because it's climbing out of the subconscious. Hey, Subprofitable, thank you for letting me know. Let me just check something. I haven't even been able to utter them. Okay, so the sound, I'm sorry, the sound is matching with the signal. The signal itself cuts often. So, but I do watch these things back and the sound normally picks itself up once the live is done. So, yeah, my apologies for that. There's nothing I can do about that in the moment. I'm going to read the sentences that jump out to me about the Hermit. I love how the Hermit as well is depicted in this card. I think I've said this before, that in this card, it has, I don't know if you can see it, but there are like little demons, literal demons and grimy animals in the shadows, which speaks to the shadow work that's being done, our underworld exploration. But like I said, with the Queen falling out, we are in control of it in a way that we haven't been. Again, this feels like an extension of energy that we've been dealing with for quite a few weeks now. Ugh. And for the Temperance card to fall out, it's just a very annoying instruction to wait it out some more. Even if you feel like you're done waiting, you're done with the sadness, the low frequency, you're done with all of it, you do have to wait out some more, wait your process out and understand that your process is your process. The sentences that jump out to me are promptings from the unconscious that should not be ignored. Very important, yeah. Because at this point, if there's any prompts, subconscious prompts or projections, points of behavior that happen from you or from others that you want to ignore and kind of shrug your shoulders and be like, oh, okay, well, that happened. Let's move on. It's going to come back again. And when it comes back again, it's going to come worse than it did the first time. That's what happens with these things. You ignore it, you ignore the lesson, then the test comes back again in a much harsher fashion, harsher, until you can literally no longer ignore it. It feels though that by this point, it's like weeks ago when this underworld energy first started, it was at level 1. By now we're on level 100. There is no more ignoring it. The process is happening. Again, 3 major arcana cards on the floor right now. The process is happening. It's happening. Deep guidance, the voice of the soul, urging you on to fulfill your destiny. Waiting for the right time. And Temperance also speaks of the exact same kind of energy of waiting for the right time. Yeah. There's a sentence here that also speaks of fear that must be faced in order to grow, which I'm feeling has a close tie to the moon. But I don't think that it's going to be a fear that actually manifests in real life. I think that these are things that you are going to get the opportunity to face within your subconscious first. So pay attention to your dreams. Again, if you are someone who enjoys being inebriated, consider cutting that short so that you can actually dream and get in touch with your subconscious underworld. That's all of it. Weed, alcohol, all of it stops the flow of true communication from your body in particular. And it really frazzles your awareness. So just be aware of that. Again, if you're going to do any of it, do it intentionally at the very least. Okay, so the 8 of discs, when I picked up the cards, the 8 of discs was one of them, but I told myself I'm just going to put them all back. And like I said, if the energy really wants to jump out, it'll jump out. So the 8 of discs it really wanted to show up in this reading. Immediately receiving that this is work related. You may be facing something dark about your career, in that you're coming to a point where you really don't enjoy your work. Like there are some people who don't enjoy, who are working their job and understanding that their work is something that they have to do in order to survive. It's just something that you just got to do. They can ignore the fact that there's these little irritations about it. It can be looked over. These cards are speaking of something that cannot be looked over. You have spent long enough doing this humdrum job of something that you don't enjoy, and it's something really nagging within you that's telling you something needs to change. Something needs to change. You're very much over the way that you interact with your material world, with the way that you spend your day to day. There's something about that vibe that's begging for a change from within you. And it may have not made any sense because maybe when you first started in this career path, you were so sure that it would be something that would help you, that it's something that you identify with. Maybe it is really helpful in the sense that you earn really good money. You may be worried that you won't earn this same kind of money in another job. I'm trying to channel just random specific messages now. It's unfulfilling. What you put your attention to in your day-to-day has reached a point where it's extremely unfulfilling for you. You can no longer make sense of it. The facts are the facts. Like, it's time to, I don't know if it's time to change. None of these cards are speaking towards taking any, in fact, actually, yeah, because the Hermit and Temperance. It's not yet time to actually make any decisions. But you're not crazy for thinking that you need to. Yeah. You do deserve to have, you deserve to spend your every day doing something that you at least enjoy. I don't think anything is worth taking your joy from. I think that something that we underestimate is how much of our energies, these jobs that we dedicate ourselves to, take from us. When you put 8 hours a day, 5 days a week into something, you almost become that thing, right? That thing owns a very large chunk of your essence. And with all of these cards falling out, it's as if your essence is fighting back. It's done being owned by this thing, this work, this job, this material thing. You need to look over the material at this point. It's really starting to get boring, essentially. And it's depressing because you're not meant to live a life like this. There's no level of a need of survival that's worth the essence of your soul. That's worth living a really enjoyable life, you know? But like I said, no rash moves just yet. There's still some things that need to be uncovered. Still more things you need to understand and I suppose learn from this position that you're in, from this workplace, from the activity that you're doing. I think there may be something it's like I said, as it's using your essence, it is rewiring a part of your brain. So there may be some part of that rewiring that's going to be useful for the next phase of your life. You just have to, I guess, endure in the experience. This may also, very random separate one, this may also have to do with your desire to find something fulfilling. Maybe you aren't even in this position. Maybe you're not actually working an unfulfilling job, but you are looking for something fulfilling in order to make money. You've been looking for a while. You've been in search of that for a very long time. I have. But it seems like there's just been way too much sitting in this underworld for you to fully grasp and understand what it is that you're meant to be doing in the physical in order to earn money. The answer is coming, thankfully. I feel such a relief for that because I've really been in search for this answer for a very long time. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to some clarity on what the hell I'm supposed to be doing in order to earn money. Good money, though. Proper money, so that I can start living and being autonomous and individual. Okay. The World. Beautiful. Wonderful. Another card that speaks to illumination. So this implies to what I had suggested before to say that there's nothing. This card, the Hermit. Oh, and there's light everywhere. That's so sweet. The Hermit card spoke of like needing to face fears that are needing to face your fears at the front. And that sentence may draw in the possibility that something may happen externally that will put you in fear. But no, nothing is going to happen. You are in a period of stillness, it seems. But there is going to be this higher self connection. Right. Higher self connection. Oh, there's so much actually. I really suggest you get into the Dr. David Clements conversation with Pam. Like I said, I think there are 3 of them available now. I highly recommend you watch each one. Every single one is really important with lots of lovely gems on how you can connect to your higher self, how the higher self is actually real and actually sincerely available to assist you. I think it's also a sense and connection of intuition, which is going to come wonderfully online, I'm feeling this week. That's going to allow you to really better understand your place in the world in general. If you're someone who's struggled with feelings of lack of safety or a lack of belonging or a lack of understanding what it is that you're meant to be doing, a lack of understanding what will make you feel alive. Because it also feels like maybe I've been dealing with this frequency over the past few readings, these feelings of deep depression and suicidal ideations. If you're someone who struggles with that, you can trust that those feelings will be alleviated, but you have to be open to letting go of them. If you're somebody who has spent a really long time in one way, depressed, suicidally ideating, then it's going to feel really then joy and happiness even little glimpses of it is going to feel really uncomfortable naturally. You have to be willing to sit with that discomfort along with the joy. Don't self-sabotage and deny your feelings of happiness. My son sometimes, as an Aquarius stellium, does a thing where he'll be sobbing and crying for the sake of declaring that he's sad, which is fair. But then he'll have a moment where he'll smirk a little and I'll be like, and then he'll cry even harder to kind of press down the smirk. And it's like, no, don't do that. Let the smirk happen. Let the joy happen. Let the laughter happen. You can still be sad after. You can hold all of these contrasting emotions in your body. You're a lot more powerful than you give yourself credit for in general. For your ability to process emotions and understand. You can hold contrasting emotions. You can. It's uncomfortable and confusing, but you can hold them. Let your body lead the way in the holding. Allow yourself. Don't do too much thinking. Let go of the brain. There isn't a single swords card that has fallen out actually, which I think feeds to the understanding that you got to let the mind go. The mind doesn't belong in any of this right now. If you can turn your brain off this week, would highly recommend. I'm going to pull out one more card and then that'll be the end of this reading. Right. So these are feelings of depression, feelings of loss and grief. You have to let go of them. Right. And the Eight of Swords, which also fell out in last night's reading. We are doing way too much. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's a lot to say about this actually. Your depression and your sadness has done its course. Even if you are someone who has a chemical imbalance, you rely on medication. Don't start taking your meds if you don't feel called to. That's really important. I do not want to ever discourage not relying on tools that are helpful. In general, though, there's a particular kind of sadness that has been keeping us company, all of us, me included, like I said. It's been keeping us company for long enough now. It's been keeping us company for long enough. And it's necessary now. It's become necessary for it to leave. We have to let it go and allow it to leave the door. It's like for some of us, every time our grief and our sadness has tried to get up and leave, some parts of us go, no. Because then what happens if, because then what happens if I'm happy? And then you want to come back into my house. You won't be welcome to my house after that. The point is to understand that this is part of life. So you can let it leave and you can let it come back. And when it comes back, it's not going to be something that eats you up. It's not scary. You are more powerful than you give yourself credit for. You have the ability to hold all kinds of emotions in your body. You are the queen now, regardless of your gender. You rule the underworld now. You have the power to be able to take control now. And normally in these decks, they speak of, they imply, there's like a hierarchy that's implied via first the page, then the queen, then the king. But in my honest opinion, for some of these decks, specifically for this one, since we're dealing with this one, the queen is more powerful than the king. I cannot find it here, but I'm not going to sit through it. But the King of Rods in this deck, he is engrossed in the globe. He's looking at the globe. He's like obsessed with it. The queen is brave enough to look at you right in the eye. She holds more bravery, more control. All of that to say you are in control. Well, yeah, you know what I mean. You're powerful. You're a lot more powerful than you're giving yourself credit for. The sorrow needs to be integrated now in a way where it's no longer a threat to your joy. It mustn't be a threat to your connection with your higher self. It mustn't be a threat to your ability to ground. The sorrow must no longer be a threat to your ability to stay hopeful about the fact that things will work out. The fact that things will work out. It must not be a threat anymore. It won't be. That will be the whole point of these transits and of these planetary motions. We are being invited to stop living in victim mode and to start living in modes of empowerment where no matter how we feel or what processes we go through, we understand that everything will always work out for our greatest good, regardless of anything. Everything is always tending towards our greatest good all the time. All the time. I think that is what we have been training for months now. We need to get better at holding everything, processing all of the bullshit of life. We need to get better at it. It does get easier. You get stronger. It ultimately does get easier. Everything is always well. All is well, always and in all ways. And you have to start believing in that and letting go of all the parts of yourself that didn't believe that. Accept and love those parts still, but they no longer take center stage anymore. Hopefully, we can get into understanding that about ourselves, understanding the power in our sensitivities, in our depression, in our sadness, in our woes, in our lows. There is power and use in everything. That's why I kept throughout this video doing the low frequency, kept putting them in quotation marks, because the low frequency vibrations, as they've been put via social media, they're not things that we need to shun and get rid of. There are friends. All of life is a friend. All of life is a friend. This full moon is going to reveal a lot about these facts of life and of our facets of empowerment and our ability to be optimistic. Please let yourself be optimistic. Allow the faith. Allow the hope. You have to allow it. You have to meet the universe halfway by just letting it happen and accepting that. Affirm that all is well. Affirm that you are always safe. You are safe to feel. You're safe to be. You're safe to be uncomfortable. You are never in danger. All of these shadows all of these shadows and the shadow work that we've been doing and processing these low vibrational frequencies, they were lessons, and they can be companions in the sense that they ground us. Duality is meant to be useful, not scary. The dark is meant to be useful, not scary. We're making friends of these things, of everything, of all of life. We're realizing this. And we are in very exciting times because of this. So we have a lot to look forward to for this week. I'm very happy for us in advance. As I said in last night's reading, congratulations are probably in order, but it's I don't know if I want to include it in this reading because there's still a lot of processing. According to these cards, there's still a lot of processing that needs to be done. So thank you. Thank you for your processing work. And let